How's it going, everybody? So you have a fun review today as we're talking Venom: The Last Dance. As someone that usually tries to champion the comic book movie genre, I gotta admit, overall 2024 has been pretty bleak when it comes to comic book movie films, so I was hoping that maybe somehow Venom: The Last Dance could be some type of outlier. Also, personally, because of the fact that the movie comes out basically on my birthday. The review is going up October 23rd, which is my birthday. Today is my birthday, and we're talking about Venom: The Last Dance, everybody. Hunted by both of their worlds, and with the net closing in, Eddie and Venom are on the run, forced into a devastating decision that will bring the curtains down on Venom and Eddie's last dance. Now, my overall feelings on this Sony Spider-Man universe that doesn't have Spider-Man in it are kind of tricky. I would say the bar is pretty low as far as bright spots in this universe between the Venom films, Morbius, Madam Web. We haven't seen Craven yet, so we're not going to lump that in. But I do think, for the most part, objectively, the Venom films are a bright spot. And I'm saying that as somebody that is not a big fan of the original Venom film as a whole. However, Let There Be Carnage leaned heavily into the silly campiness of Eddie and Venom's dynamic that only increases further within The Last Dance, given the nature of the story, making Eddie and Venom embark on this crazy sort of buddy road trip style adventure. So if you're somebody that did enjoy the overall tone of Let There Be Carnage, they pretty much are just doubling down on all of those aspects for the third film. Given that The Last Dance is a finale, if you will, it is kind of wild just how fearless The Last Dance is. Whether that be the multitude of absurd situations that we see Eddie and Venom put through, further pushing the comedic dynamic between the two of them. You've got dance sequences with Mrs. Chen, a vast variety of symbiote shenanigans, Venom fish, Venom horse. So many different sequences throughout this movie are just completely bonkers. I can't deny that I was laughing through long stretches of Venom: The Last Dance, albeit part of that laughter was kind of just sheer bewilderment at the direction they decide to go here with this final installment. Outside of the overwhelming silly nature of things, out of the three films, I also feel like The Last Dance is the best as far as building that Eddie and Venom dynamic, with the stakes being raised to their highest due to the overwhelming threat this time around with these xenophages Knull sends. There's a surprising level of heart and emotion explored in the dynamic of this duo that Tom Hardy does a pretty good job showcasing. The core of this relationship is incredibly goofy and fun. They're gambling together, rescuing animals, doing karaoke in the car together. But there are a handful of moments throughout the movie where it tries to pull on your heartstrings. And I would say occasionally those moments are effective emotionally when it starts to feel like this really could be the last dance for these two. Of course, we don't have any idea to this point on what the future holds for the two of them. I mean, we've been seeing for years now that Tom Hardy wants to fight Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We'll see if that ever happens. At the moment, I don't believe I'd be opposed to see more of these two in the future, especially with what this movie sets up possibly for that future of the franchise. Speaking more on that army that Knull sends, these xenophages are just completely wild. The action set pieces across the board in The Last Dance are enhanced incredibly thanks to how intense and nasty these things are in their attempt to pursue and then try and take out Venom. Thankfully, I would say that The Last Dance has the most action out of the entire franchise, and even decides to explore some cool new ways for Venom and the symbiotes in general are used. The third act battle alone in The Last Dance probably is the coolest action set piece I've seen in this entire Venom franchise or this Sony Marvel Universe. Even though it's kind of moot at this point, I've always wished that these Venom movies were rated R. However, this time it does manage to go a bit darker and bloody in some instances. Of course, it isn't overly graphic or anything. However, they do push the PG-13 rating as far as it possibly can with Venom and these monsters chewing people up and blood spraying about. Now, when it comes to Knull's inclusion, I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that people are going to be discussing leaving Venom: The Last Dance. Overall, I am kind of torn about his inclusion. Narratively, there is that intrigue built in for me personally because I think the character is awesome, being a fan of the comic books. It's clear here in how he's utilized in the film, learning his plan, why exactly he's sending an army to take out Venom because of something he needs to more or less be set free. It's evident to me that they want to set him up to be this big, imposing future threat. Think of like a Thanos character. I just think it's hard to gauge based off his screen time here, mixed with Sony's track record, if all of that will pay off in the end. I would say overall his usage here was decent. There just wasn't anything here that I thought was mind-blowing from a design standpoint or a story standpoint. Much like the other two Venom films, I definitely can see this movie not being for everyone because much like those other entries, it is kind of all over the place with a lot of its ideas and its story. As a culmination of a trilogy, I suppose it tries its best to tie everything together with Eddie, the returning characters like Detective Mulligan, and attempt to form a cohesive story while doing this buddy cop road trip adventure. And then on top of that, continue on from the stuff that we built up in Let There Be Carnage and the end credit scene in No Way Home, the scene at the bar. I just wish overall the entire story was a little bit more intriguing. There are definitely flashes of a story in here that I did have a lot of fun with, but the overall story definitely needed some more polishing up in the script department. Also, I have to say, I think it's a weird choice, Sony's insistence to connect to the MCU while managing to bring in all these other actors that we've seen play other characters in Marvel or the MCU, whether that be Chiwetel Ejiofor, Rhys Ifans, or Andy Serkis. Chiwetel Ejiofor especially, I think he was a solid supporting character as Rex Strickland. It was hard not to be distracted anytime he was on screen as far as within the universe because, you know, he was Baron Mordo in the Doctor Strange film. While I don't think Venom the Last Dance is an incredible film or anything, it's probably overall the best entry in this trilogy. To some, that could be a pretty low bar that this is the best out of the trilogy. The decision to double down on the off-the-wall, outrageous charm between Eddie and Venom is bound to bring laughs and some level of entertainment, even if the overall end goals of this story are very much all over the place. More or less, I think it's an okay conclusion to this Venom trilogy of films. And by the way, there are 2 post-credit scenes. One of them, I think, is probably one of the most incredibly random post-credit scenes I've ever seen. It rivals some of the weirder ones you've seen from the MCU. Now that we only have one more of these Sony Marvel movies to go this year with Kraven the Hunter in December, I'm going to be really intrigued where this lies. Is it going to be the best of the 3, or maybe Kraven the Hunter will end up being the best, because it's definitely not going to be Madam Web. Once you get a chance to check out Venom the Last Dance, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the film? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Do you think this is a good cap-off for this trilogy, or are you not a fan of it? Either way, make sure you share your thoughts down below, because the fun is that conversation with you guys in the comment section. Thank you guys, as always, check out videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you like the video, and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.